Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Adam Lucero, performance and productivity coach and the founder of Superhuman CEO. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, AJ.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India. And I'm sure a lot of people all across the world will be able to benefit from what you have to talk about productivity, about performance, and finding the superhuman in the human that one is, and especially for businesses and entrepreneurs. So, my first question for the audience to understand from you, Adam, is that you train a lot of entrepreneurs around these things. So, what makes you qualified to be a trainer? What is it that you bring for entrepreneurs? Why do they come to you?
Yeah, so two parts to that. The reason why they come to me is because they know they can do so much better, but they just can't seem to get out of their own way. They never have that consistent productivity. Maybe for a few days or even a few weeks, they're just crushing it, keeping their promises to themselves, doing the things they know they need to do, but then something triggers them. Their motivation fades. They don't have that creativity, the focus, whatever it is, and then they spiral downwards until it's almost like a roller coaster is the way I like describing it. And so they come to me because they want that consistency where every single day they're waking up motivated, they're focused, and they're excited to grow their business. They're passionate about it to the point where they almost have to stop themselves from working in their business because they get like addicted to it. So that's typically why entrepreneurs come to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell for that. But you also asked me like, okay, what makes me qualified or how'd I get into this? And it really, I studied this as a necessity of survival. And so it all started about 6-7 years ago. I was actually stabbed in the throat, arm, and chest while at a movie theater. And basically it was by a complete stranger, and he had a chef knife. The ones that get bigger, closer to the handle. It went halfway through my throat. You could probably see it right there. It punctured my lung and went deep in my arm. Like you can see the scars right there. And so at that moment, I had to realize like, all right, could definitely die here. So what happened was I took off the shirt and wrapped around my neck, and I started holding the blood in, and I started yelling, I've been stabbed. I've been stabbed. And the lights turn on in the movie theater. I see the person who attacked me. He starts running away. And so I'm holding the blood in. Then these two older women come running up. They're like, what should we do? And I tell them, just put pressure on my neck. So they start putting pressure on my neck. And then I hear someone in the movie theater go, should we call 911? And I lose it. I'm like, yeah, you should call 911. Like, if you don't call them in this situation, when would you? And so the paramedics come like 5-10 minutes later, and they start asking me all these questions like, what's your name? What year is it? Who's president? And I get it. They're making sure I'm conscious, staying with them. But the whole time I'm like, can you guys like stop asking me these questions and save my life? Like I just have so much frustration in the moment. And so they get me up on the stretcher, and I feel all my wounds worse than the initial stabbing because now I don't have the adrenaline in me. And so I remember them carrying me down all the stairs, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever endured in my life. And I finally get down to the ambulance, and I start relaxing because I'm like, okay, the paramedics got me. They know what they're doing. Like, I don't have to worry. And as soon as I get that thought, I feel a cold rush through my entire body, and I realize I lost a lot of blood. And then I see them come over with this oxygen mask. And I remember thinking, okay, don't fall asleep. You're not supposed to fall asleep in this situation. But I knock out like 5 minutes later, or like 5 seconds later. And I wake up 7 days later in an induced coma. And I was living off tubes. Like if you unplug those tubes, you literally unplugged my life. And I was just as weak and broken as it gets from every angle. I used to be 170 pounds, 6 foot, like 7% body fat, but now I'm 130 pounds. So all my muscle decayed. My legs forgot how to work after not being used for 7 days. I had nerve damage that prevented me from being able to speak. And it was at this point, like my confidence had disappeared like a quarter in a magic show. And I was left questioning, do I really have what it takes to create a business, to hit all these goals I have? Because I am a really ambitious person. And so I was really forced into this point where I was like, okay, I have two options. I can quit and give up on my potential, or I can fight for it. And so I chose that second path. I started studying the secrets of evolution, biology, and psychology that enabled me to build myself up again. I discovered how to boost our energy levels, our mental alertness, and our motivation. And every single day, week by week, month by month, I just kept getting stronger and more powerful. And within 1 year, I ran a 4:59 mile. I was picking up close to as much weight in the gym as I was before. And I was just in a great place mentally. And so fast forward about 5 more years, and here I am teaching entrepreneurs and really driven people in general how to achieve the same transformation I have. And so I guess how it all started was just me being at a point where I literally didn't have the energy to eat a meal. I would eat half my meal, fall asleep at my plate, wake up and eat 'cause I had such low energy. I couldn't think clearly. And so it was just me learning how to overcome those own problems for myself that got me started on this. And then over the course of years, I realized like entrepreneurs need this, because the thing is like your business is a direct reflection of you and it only moves as fast as you do. And so in a nutshell, that's kind of the background of why I got into this and why I'm so passionate about it.
Right, Adam. Right. And I'm thinking that about the moment you had that difficult time at the movie theater and you still were able to keep your mind working and at least tell them to, make sure that they stop the bleeding part. And then you, as long as you were conscious,
Mhm,
you were trying to uh, guide people around you, to
mhm,
even the paramedics that, please take care of the things in the right manner and that they should immediately do whatever is the most necessary stuff at the moment. But when you landed in the hospital,
mhm,
that time, the whole idea is about survival, and many
mhm,
a times people lose hope.
mhm,
What is it that, because yours was a difficult situation, what is it that kept you in a lot of hope? And
mhm,
even when you came out of the hospital, things were not easy.
mhm,
But finally, you wanted to take control of the life that you had at the moment
mhm,
and build things very good around it to be valuable
mhm,
maybe later to the world, but first to yourself. And many a times, the same things happen with businesses.
mhm,
Founder's journey is many a times, entrepreneur's journey, many a times is a lonely journey. And
mhm.
that
Oh yeah.
time, many people, just don't know what to do. How did you know what to do and how did you plan out? Obviously, you did a lot of reading, but how did you tell your mind to think positive and to think towards the
Mhm.
future, which could be very, very good?
Yeah. So at first, there's a lot of self pity. Of course, this happened to me. My life's done for that negative self talk, all that nonsense, right? But then I got to a point where it's like a few days, a few weeks of that, and I realized that train of thought wasn't serving me. It wasn't enabling me to overcome the issue at hand. It was just enabling me to feel bad about what happened to me and be a victim. And so it was really at the point where I discovered that my legs didn't work anymore, that there was just this fuel inside of me. I got like angry, I got pissed off. I was like, I used to be a Division 1 track athlete and now my legs don't work. I can't even stand up. And so I told myself at that moment, I was like, you know what? I have to like I can't choose what happened to me. That already did. But I can choose how to react moving forward. That's the only thing I can do. And so the thing that got me to get to a state where I was overcoming this was I fully accepted what happened. There was no more, oh, this sucks or whatever. It was like, that happened to me. It is what it is. What can I do moving forward? And it was that mental switch that changed everything for me. Because after that point, there was no more feeling bad about myself. There was no more complaining. There was no more negativity. It was okay, that happened. Now, what am I going to do about it? And so, again, it was just, I started focusing on all the things that were holding me back. The things that were holding me back was low energy, not being able to think clearly. Like, you could literally ask me what is like 11 times 11. I wouldn't be able to solve it. It would take me like minutes. I just couldn't do it. And so, I just started learning about all the things that were holding me back. And every single day just kept getting better and better. But to answer your question, it's really just taking full responsibility for your life, accepting what happened and taking full responsibility. That happened. Okay, what can I do moving forward? Because really, that victim mindset isn't serving you towards a better life. And so, I guess ultimately, what I would say is it's that realization that having these complaints, having this self pity, having these negative self talk, it isn't serving me towards that life. And then making the choice to stop, because it is a choice to feed your attention and your energy and your thoughts into that. Or it's a choice to shift your attention to finding a solution. And so ultimately, I say it's a choice or a mental switch that really kicked that switched me into another gear. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, indeed, it makes sense. And I'm trying to understand it from a point of understanding that
Hmm.
how did you then go towards the journey of not only getting yourself fully fit, but also towards looking at becoming a performance and productivity coach,
Hmm.
because it is not so easy when you are in a very difficult situation. Your mind just doesn't work,
Hmm.
and then you build a, a, a viable revenue stream for yourself, which was around the strengths that you had. How
Hmm.
did this come to? And finally it led to the building of founding this company called the Superhuman CEO. And
Yeah.
what led you to integrate your skills towards the CEOs? How
Hmm.
did that work out? I'm sure a lot of my audience will be interested to know that.
Yeah. So as I was getting stronger and rebuilding myself up, that was never my intention. Or I was like, oh, I'm going to help others do this. Right. But the thing was, I've always been an entrepreneur. And so whether it was in middle school, I'd buy candy at the 99-cent store, sell it at my middle school, or high school, I'd buy and sell electronics. Or in college, I started a moving business, even though I knew nothing about the industry because I saw a good opportunity. So I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. And so the thing was, I actually had a normal sales job after I graduated college and recovered from the stabbing. I worked there for like 3 months, and I had this feeling inside of me where I was like, I hate my life. Like I felt like a shell of a human being. Like I didn't feel like myself. I'd walk in to that job and I just didn't enjoy life. It was literally that simple. And so after like 3 months, I quit that and started working on my brother's marketing business and helping him grow that. And so after helping them for like a year, I realized I was like, I want to start my own business. And then I just started reflecting back at the times in my life. I was like, okay, well, what do I want to build a business around? So I started reflecting. When are those times in my life where I felt ecstatic that I lit up like a Christmas tree? And I always realized like it was helping other people. Like I'd have friends call me and they'd be like, Adam, like I have these mental blocks. I don't know if I can be an entrepreneur. I struggle to take action. Like I just don't know if I have what it takes. And I would help them overcome these mental blocks, the hurdles that they have or whatever. And I could talk to them for 90 minutes. And by the end of the 90 minutes, I'd be so energized. Like it would be crazy. Like I'd feel more energized at the end of the conversation than the beginning. And so it kind of dawned on me. I was like, well, that's kind of what I'm passionate about. And so I just realized I was like, all the times I've been excited in life or the most ecstatic was helping other people. And I now have the skills to help people boost their energy, their mental alertness, their motivation, their productivity, whatever it is. And so just through trial and error, building out a system to help deliver the results, that's essentially what led to me being on this path.
Right, right. And now you tell entrepreneurs how they can be uh, motivated and
Hmm.
be continuous to be, in that high state of mind,
Hmm.
almost like a
Hmm.
superhuman performance state of mind, that
Hmm.
they can not only scale their business but also, you know, achieve all the goals that they business
Hmm.
goals that they have. So, what is it that you exactly inject in their minds?
Hmm.
Can you share some of these tips with our audience, so that people can use those high
Yeah.
level performance techniques and make
Hmm.
their life as well as businesses better?
Yeah, so there's a few different areas that we help them on. The first is again with that motivation, the consistency, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they know exactly what they need to do to grow their business, but they fail to consistently do it. They have a few days of high productivity, then they hear this voice in their head, "Oh, I've been doing a fantastic job. I deserve one day off." Only for that one day to turn into another and another. And so this really happens because 95% of the actions we take in a day are derived by our subconscious mind. But when you make these declarations that you're going to eat healthy, work out, or be more productive in your business, build out a team, whatever it is, you're using your conscious mind. And so this is why 95% of people fail to maintain their New Year's resolutions after 3 weeks. It's because they're using their conscious mind to declare they're going to change, but their subconscious mind, it doesn't want them to change. And your subconscious mind actually sees every habit as a survival mechanism, which is why it's so hard to break. It literally thinks that if you change this habit or you change your actions, you will increase your chances of death. And so you get into what I call the brain battle. Subconscious or conscious mind wants you to change so you improve yourself in your life and your business. Subconscious mind doesn't want you to change. And so you guys all know the routine. Make progress, fall back into your self-sabotaging patterns again. And so the first step is by linking your subconscious to your conscious so that when you tell yourself you're going to work 5 hours in your day, create SOPs, build out a team, whatever it is, you do it and you feel excited to do it. Now, what we want to do here, so just an actionable tip, because I want whoever's listening to this to leave feeling empowered. So the one thing I would say in this regard is focus on the habit of keeping your promises to yourself. That is literally, I kid you not, like if you literally just did this one thing, you would 10x your productivity and accomplish so much more because you only tell yourself you're going to do things that will improve your life. But the thing is, what happens is, the mistake is, a lot of people, they feel motivated in the moment and they give themselves these huge declarations. You know, I'm going to read for an hour a day. I'm going to hit the gym every single day for this entire year. Then what happens is when that motivation fades, they feel tired, lazy, or unmotivated. Now they have this huge task they have to do. Reading for an hour, that sounds terrible when they're not motivated. So they end up breaking their promise, and now they're strengthening the habit of not keeping their promises and weakening the habit of them keeping their promises. So to combat this, what I always say to do is start with smaller changes, right? Instead of saying that you're going to read for an hour a day, say that you're going to read for 30 seconds a day or 1 minute a day, because it doesn't matter how unmotivated or lazy you feel. Reading for 30 seconds or 60 seconds is easy. You're not going to have that mental battle, that internal nagging voice, internal battles, or whatever it is. And so you're going to easily read for 30 seconds a day. And the point here is that you're actually keeping your promises to yourself with these small changes. And so over the course of 30 days, 60 days, you're now forming the habit of keeping your promises to yourself to the point where it's second nature and effortless. And so the way I often explain this is like, you likely brush your teeth every single night, regardless of how tired, lazy, or unmotivated you are. Why do you do that so easy and frictionless versus it's so challenging to do these new actions? It's because you're in the habit of brushing your teeth. Well, imagine if you were in the habit of keeping your promises to yourself. I mean, what would your body look like right now if you kept your word to work out from 2 years ago? How much further along in your career, your business would you be if you kept your word to be productive every single day? And so this is really one of the key powers to performing on a more consistent level or taking more consistent action. And so that's one of the actionable tips I would say in that regard.
Right, Adam. Do talk about, energy. You help people have more energy. Now, normally people think that you got to eat right, sleep right, and that will bring the energy that you need. What do you do to bring more energy to people? Is it about nutrition? Is it beyond that?
Yeah, so it's, you kind of pretty much hit it on the dot, to be honest. So yeah, there's multiple ways you can tackle it. So it's from one, preserving your energy in a sense of throughout your day, are you doing all these tedious tasks that you don't need to do? Like, for example, I know lots of business owners that I work with, they're posting their social media, they're editing their videos or creating the graphics and stuff. It's like, you're just wasting your energy there. Your time's better spent elsewhere. And so by building out a team and delegating those tasks, you're going to be saving a lot of energy. So one aspect of it's going to be just preserving your energy. And then the second aspect can be what you touched upon earlier, where you're really just optimizing your health. That's ultimately what it is in a nutshell. Right. So the way I often explain this is, look, yeah, we can change your workouts and we can change your diet. And we do that. Don't get me wrong. That will definitely help a ton. But even if you eat the healthiest ever and you work out every day, if you get terrible sleep, you're going to have low energy. And so what I always say is like the number one thing you can do to boost your energy and your cognitive function is going to be really getting soundless sleep every single night. And there's a few ways to do this. The first is, there's so many different hacks, but I'm going to give you the most two important ones. The first is go to bed before 10 p.m. because 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. are the golden hours for sleep. So I often explain it this way. It's like, look, have you ever gone to bed at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? Even if you got 8 hours of sleep, have you ever felt good the next day? No, of course not. So the hours you sleep are not all created equal. So going to bed before 10 p.m., literally, if you just do that, you will feel so much better. And then the second part to that is you want to go to sleep at the same time every single night, or at least within 30-minute gap of each other. Okay. And so those are the biggest things you can do for your sleep. Obviously, there's much more we could get into, but I know a bunch of people, they're listening to this and they go, oh, I have insomnia. I can't get sleep because of X, Y, and Z. But sleep's a skill. I've worked with hundreds of people dialing in their sleep. I hear it all the time. I'm an insomniac. But the thing is, they just have bad sleep habits. Like they're watching TV or they're absorbing these chemicals. Essentially, so there's all these vibrant lights. Like if you go on social media, they have these very vibrant lights and they release chemicals in your brain like dopamine and they make you hardwired. So yeah, if you're watching a movie before you go to bed and then you try going to bed, you're not going to be able to fall asleep because your mind's active. The chemicals are released in your brain and your brain's not calmed down. And so it's really just poor sleep habits that I'd say 99% of the people that think they have insomnia, they really don't. It's just poor sleep habits. And it's a matter of consistency and just keep having a night routine in place that's going to help combat that.
Right, right. You talk about procrastination also. And
Mhm.
so how does that, how do you help people kill procrastination and not to kill their own time? So how
Mhm.
does that work with
Mhm.
you? Is it so easy to change oneself? Because I thought procrastination is part of personality.
Yeah, so it's actually it can happen in literally. I know I'm going to say this, and I already know that everyone hearing this isn't even going to believe me because it doesn't sound possible to them. But you can literally kill procrastination instantly, and I say that because I've had probably 40 to 50% of
I,
my
I
students.
need to learn that. I need to learn that.
Exactly, and so usually what happens is the biggest thing is like there's a certain perspective shift that needs to happen and take place. And I don't have time to go over it all in here because it literally takes a full hour. But again, it's really about linking your two minds together, and that is going to kill procrastination. But for example, it's like we literally have had clients where they go through a few of our lessons and boom, they are a new version of themselves and they don't procrastinate anymore at all. So it can literally happen in an instant. But in most people's cases, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks is really when we see that the ball gets rolling, the internal battles are gone, and they just are this new version of themselves. And so there's multiple parts to it. Part of it's going to be a perspective change. Part of it's going to be habit building. And then the main part is just linking your two brains together so that ultimately that's the key to it. I know that wasn't very actionable tips, but again, it's one of those things that's like it's hard for me to kind of boil it down to a 30-second thing when I'm like, I literally take hours to teach this inside the program, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is so much to learn from you, Adam. I know these things are not easy when you need to change people's way of thinking and ingrain something special, something different, but something very original and something which can change their life. So, how do people know more about you? Where
Mhm.
can they get in touch with you? And especially for people who want to be, professionally engaged with
Yeah, so there's two main ways. If you're interested in working with me and my team, you can go to superhumanceo.com. You'll see our case studies, you'll see a little bit about what we do, all that jazz, okay? And then you can book a call to speak with me or my team. Second part is you could follow me on Instagram. My Instagram's Adam Lucero, then the number one. So you can see my name right down there, and then just add the number one to it at the end, and then you can find me on Instagram, DM me, whatever it is. But yeah, those are the two main ways to get in contact with me.
you. Right, right. My last question to you,
Hmm.
Adam, is that, after seeing such a difficult time and then rebuilding your life, your
Hmm.
health, how do you see life now? And what is it that now you seek for yourself? You are very young
Hmm.
and you have a lot of life ahead of you. So
Hmm.
how do you see yourself? And do you worry as much as perhaps uh, earlier to that incident? How what's your perspective on life and making money?
Yeah, so I would say like my over the course of years, so like for the longest time, I've always been success driven. Like when I was younger, like it was bad. It was to the point where I was like, I'm gonna stop hanging out with like friends or whatever it is because I just like they're not serving me towards the place I want to get to. But and I was chasing money, chasing success. But over the course of more years, I've gained the wisdom to realize life is about the journey, not the end result. Don't get so caught up that you spend 20 years building a business if you hate your life during those 20 years, because then what's the point of life? Yeah, cool. You might have 8 figures in your bank account by the time you die, but what good does that do? It doesn't really improve your life. And so I guess my perspective nowadays is really just figuring out how to not figuring out, but enjoying life every single moment as much as possible. And so the key to that is really just improving your consciousness or your level of presence is ultimately the secret ingredient to living a higher quality life where you have less internal turmoil. And so that's kind of where my focus is, while also building my goal is eventually an 8-figure business while I'm only working 20 hours or less. So that's my ultimate goal for business. But again, for my ultimate goal for life is to just be happy every single day and enjoy the life that I live. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much who I am and what I'm about.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Being happy with the life you have, and you have been very, very lucky. It's been a miracle. It's been a God's gift, and that you are able to, not only live for yourself but also to make the difference to so many lives. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
I'm just happy to be here.